Live from WTVG Toledo, this is 13 ABC Action News.
And we begin with continuing coverage of breaking news at this hour. Scott High School was put on lockdown this morning after reports of a student with a possible gun in the hallway.
And that student is now in custody, and all of the other students are safe at this hour. We're
going to start our team coverage for you live with 13 ABC's Alexis Means.
This entire area this morning was filled with Toledo police officers and the SWAT team. The 14-year-old student is at the Toledo Police Department right now. This call came in around 10 o'clock this morning that a student was inside Scott High School with a gun. The school was put on lockdown. Toledo police and the SWAT team were called in. They set up a perimeter. Now, officers had eyes on this student. They had cornered him into a hallway. There were no students in harm's way, according to the Toledo Police Department. Now, the SWAT team, they negotiated with this student. They say that they had to shoot a beanbag into the room to get him to come out, and this is what the officers had to say.
They did fire one beanbag round at his foot, struck him in the foot. He's fine. He's taken into custody. We're going to take him down and interview him.
Now, the Toledo Police Department says that that student had a pellet gun. It looked like a real gun. It had a black handle. And again, they had cornered him in a hallway, and they were able to negotiate with him. They shot that beanbag into that area, and then they brought him out. They've taken him down to the Toledo Police Department to be talked to by the detectives. As for the school says at this point he will be expelled from Scott High School, and no word on exactly what the Toledo Police Department will charge him with. Reporting live, Alexis Means, 13 ABC Action News.
And we are continuing to follow that breaking news. Reports of a student with a weapon inside of Scott High School sparked a lockdown early this morning. Now, at this hour, the suspect is in custody and all students are safe.
And in the process of being dismissed, we want to get back out to 13 ABC's Alexis Means. She is joining us live on scene. And Alexis, a lot of the tweets that were coming out this morning had to do with everything that went according to plan.
That's exactly right. Everything did go according to plan here at Scott High Schools. The TPS leaders tell us that the teachers did exactly what they were supposed to do. They got the kids into a safe area. They locked down the school. The suspect who allegedly had that pellet gun was trapped in a corner by police officers. They were able to negotiate with him. They shot a beanbag at his foot. They went and got him, took him out the building, and they took him down to the Toledo Police Department. At this time, we don't know exactly what charges are going to be filed against him, but TPS school leaders tell us that he will be expelled from the school. Right now, I'm going to take you over here to the scene. If you can look right over here to the auditorium where the gym is, that's where all the parents are gathering at this point right now, signing some paperwork and picking up their kids. They were able to communicate with their children through social media, text messages, phone calls. Some kids told their parents that they were locked in a closet because they were scared, and they were able to tell their children, follow the rules, listen to the police officers, listen to the teachers, and do what they tell you to do. And everyone has come out of this situation safe. The student who allegedly had the gun, the pellet gun, is safe, and all the other students are safe as well. So this ended peacefully. The Toledo Police Department, according to school officials, did a great job at negotiating with this student and keeping everyone in this area safe. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Alexis, one more question for you. Any word from police yet on how the gun got inside of the school?
They have not said just yet exactly how that gun had gotten to the school, but they said it appeared to look like it was real. It was a pellet gun. It had a black handle, but they have not said yet how the gun got into the school.
And Alexis, if you can just give people an idea, when you got there on the scene, we kept hearing reports of how frantic everything was as far as parents and those who were outside the school. How quickly was that calmed down?
Oh, it was frantic. I mean, parents were absolutely scared. They wanted to hear from their kids. They wanted to know what was going on. The police department actually had them all gather over in this area. They were on cell phones talking to the relatives, and one of the school officials came out, and a Toledo police officer came out, and they told them the kids are safe. They are not in harm's way. Call your relatives, tell them that information. They were working on trying to get the student out of the school as well, but it was frantic. I mean, as you can understand, Jeff, I mean, you have kids. You can imagine exactly how these parents were feeling when they heard that there was a kid inside this school with a gun.
Yeah.
They wanted just to make sure that their kids were safe and that they were going to make it out of this building alive, and they did. This ended very peacefully.
Yeah, hard to follow those lockdown procedures when you're told to stay away and it's your kid in that school building. Alexis Means reporting live. Our team coverage continues here on 13 ABC in just minutes. We want to get you an update on the weather forecast.
Now, 13 ABC is 13 ABC Action News.
And we begin this new half hour with continuing coverage of breaking news. We were the first to tell you how Scott High School was put on lockdown this morning after reports of a student with a possible gun in the hallway. Now that student is in custody. Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Smith.
And I'm Christina Williams in for Sasha and Bray. We want to get right to 13 ABC's Alexis Means. She was one of the first reporters on the scene and the first to report that suspect was in custody. Welcome news for a lot of parents. Alexis?
That's exactly right. A lot of parents were happy that everyone was safe, that the student that allegedly had this pellet gun was safe, and that all the other students inside the school were safe as well. We're going to take a look at some of the video that we shot from earlier today. That 14-year-old student has been taken down to the Toledo Police Department. This call came in around 10 o'clock this morning when police got word that there was a student inside Scott High School with a gun. The school was put on lockdown. Toledo Police and the SWAT team were called in. They set up a perimeter. Officers had eyes on that student and they cornered him in a hallway. There were no students in harm's way, according to Toledo Police. The SWAT team negotiated with that student. They say he had a pellet gun that looked real.
They did fire one beanbag round at his foot, struck him in the foot. He's fine. He's taken into custody. We're going to take him down and interview him.
And again, this ended peacefully. That student again was taken down to the Toledo Police Department. No word on what charges he will face, but according to school officials here, he will be expelled from Scott High School once this investigation is completed. Reporting live, Alexis Means, 13 ABC Action News.
All right, thanks, Alexis. And for the past hour.
And turning now to an update on breaking news that we first told you about during a special report this morning.
Toledo police rushed to Scott High School around 9:30. Officers received reports of a student with a gun. The school followed district protocol and locked the building down. SWAT team and a negotiator responded. They eventually got the student and his pellet gun out of the school and into police custody.
13 ABC has live team coverage of the scare at Scott High School. Our Zach Pitts spent the morning on campus. He was there when parents picked up their children.
But we begin tonight with 13 ABC's Alexis Means with the latest on the investigation. Alexis?
Well, the student is locked up at the Lucas County Juvenile Detention Center. Police say he had a knife and a gun. His aunt says she has no idea what made him do this.
Controlled situation right now.
It was an intense standoff between officers and a 14-year-old male Scott High School student that ended peacefully. The 14-year-old student's aunt rushed to school.
I don't know why that situation happened, but I know that before we judge somebody, we need to know exactly what's going on.
The call came in around 10 a.m. A student was cornered in a hallway with a gun.
He had a pellet gun, but it looks like a real gun.
Did he say why?
He did pull it out of the bag. When he became agitated, he pulled out of the bag and had it in his hand. He did not point it, but he had it in his hand.
Toledo's SWAT team moved in and surrounded the high school. Hundreds of students were locked in rooms as a negotiator talked to the teen.
He did not tell us what's wrong. He's obviously very upset.
According to the teen's Facebook page, it appears he was upset because he was being bullied. Concerned parents rushed to the school and comforted one another. This parent says her daughter called her scared.
My mom in the closet is a lockdown, and I said a lockdown. She said, yeah, Trevor, the principal, came on the announcements crying, and I said, Chastity, just start praying in the Holy Ghost, and the phone hung up, and I just came up here. When I pulled up, the child's mother was walking down the street, and what's going on? And she said, they said my son has a BB gun. And then they took her in.
This mom received a text message from her daughter.
I told her to be calm and to do whatever the teachers told her, basically.
Police say no students were in harm's way. SWAT officers forced the teen to come out.
They did fire one beanbag round at his foot, struck him in the foot. He's fine. He's taken into custody. We're going to take him down and interview him.
A peaceful ending to an intense situation that could have been deadly.
I just wanted him to be safe. I didn't want any fatalities. I didn't want anything bad to happen to my nephew because he's a good kid.
Now, the teen is charged with illegal conveyance of a weapon on school property and terrorist threats. He will face a judge tomorrow. Reporting live, Alexis Means, 13 ABC Action News.